quite a while since I uploaded my last video. The reason of which actually brings me to today's topic, which is mental health. I had about 2 months that I had really bad migraines and I was just really tired and just not in the right headspace to record anything or be positive or give anybody advice or anything. I actually had a couple of other videos recorded, I had 2 videos recorded, and I just wasn't happy with them, and if I'm not completely happy and satisfied with something, I'm not going to upload it. So I said, you know, I'd rather record something new and just be proud of it. So today's topic is about mental health, and this is predominantly for, I suppose, for the Lyme patients that we have, but it can apply to anybody with a chronic illness or anybody that sometimes struggles with mental health. I think very commonly people are ashamed of their mental health state, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not saying that it's just as a psychologist, but mental health is something that is so incredibly important, and there seems to be some sort of stigma involved that, you know, you can't talk about not being positive and not being optimistic and not feeling your greatest. So I just want to let you know, mental health is incredibly important, and talking to somebody is incredibly important. And if you're struggling with something, you should reach out to somebody. Whether it's somebody, a friend, family, or a professional, you should reach out, because just getting something off your chest can make a huge difference. So I've had, in the last 2 weeks or so, I've had quite a few people reach out to me professionally that were struggling with mental health. And one of the recurring themes that I saw with all of these patients was that they were initially too ashamed to say something. But they all had this overpowering feeling that, you need to speak to somebody and you need to get it off your chest, because they're all struggling with different things and going through something like Lyme disease treatment, and especially the treatment that some of these patients are on and what I went through is incredibly tough. I'll be very honest, it's incredibly tough, and a lot of them, I think, underestimated how tough the treatment was, and not only in the sense of the treatment being difficult, but it affects your whole life. It affects you, it affects your family, it affects your friends, it affects your work, it affects everything around you. I've seen already with some of the patients that they initially started with a very good support network, and that sometimes breaks down over time. And similarly, that happened to me as well, When I first got sick, I was supported by friends and family and people around me, and the longer I was sick and the more I got into my treatment, people start falling away in terms of, their support. And that can be incredibly difficult, because you feel alone, you feel like you can't speak to somebody, you can't reach out to somebody, nobody understands you, and you're going through it alone. So one of the things I found during my own treatment is that your mood goes through ups and downs. You can have incredibly highs, but the lows are incredibly low. I think it's dangerous when you get into that sort of mindset of being so incredibly low that you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to speak to anybody, you don't want to do anything, and it brings you into this negative spiral that if you don't have somebody around you, or you don't have a good support network or the own mental strength to snap yourself out of it, you're only going to spiral down even more. So what I found very important during my own treatment, and my mom helped me very much with this, is that you need to keep yourself busy. Whether it's a small project or being creative or just doing anything, but you have to keep your mind busy, because if you're only focusing on your treatment and your illness, you're just making yourself worse, because you start to panic and you start to overthink, and this can go wrong, and maybe I'm going to die, or this and that, and you can hype yourself up so badly and so negatively that I'm not going to say you're making yourself more sick, but you're not helping your situation. And finding a way to then calm yourself down and keep your mind busy is so incredibly important to avoid going into that negative spiral. Puzzles to keep your mind busy, or going out with your family, trying to. I know it's very difficult to find the energy to do that, but when you're having a good day, really try to push yourself to get out there and go do something. Because if not, you're just sitting at home, you're staying in bed, you're just watching Netflix, and it really doesn't stimulate your brain. And sometimes it sounds horrible to say, but it's sometimes very easy to fall into the victim role, and having people around you that are strong and not letting you do that is incredibly important. So my parents never let me get into that victim space, and they always said, if you're having a good day, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do something just to keep you busy and keep your mind off the illness, because if you just keep overthinking things, you're really not helping yourself. Try and find somebody around you that is that strong of a support if you can't do it yourself, and don't let them get you into that victim space, because getting into the victim space is very comfortable, it's very easy, and it doesn't help any progress whatsoever. If you find that you don't have a good support network around you, or sometimes you don't want to tell them everything, sometimes you don't want to tell your family everything, your friends everything, or even your doctor everything. In that case, I think it's very important if you do try and reach out to somebody professionally that has a neutral way of looking at things, and that can, really be a source that you can trust and tell your story to, and, try and work out a way to further your progress and stay optimistic and, really keep fighting your disease. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, asking for help is not something to be ashamed of. And that's something that took me a very long time to learn. During my own treatment, I didn't do any therapy, and I had my mom, but I knew that going through something else in previous years, I was really struggling with it mentally, and I was, making myself go crazy, and really, I was just going insane. And at that point, I didn't want to tell my parents. I was ashamed to tell my parents. I needed to have somebody from the outside help me and support me in what I was going through. So I reached out to a psychologist, and I was in therapy for about a year and a half. And initially I was really, I guess in a way, ashamed of admitting to that and saying, I'm in therapy, and I didn't tell anybody in the beginning. But it really made a huge difference for me, and being able to talk to somebody about the issues that I was going through, and just having somebody neutral kind of guide me through what I was feeling. It was really, really useful. So my message to everybody else, if you feel like you can't talk to the people around you, or you feel like you need somebody neutral on the outside just to tell your story, I think it's really important just to reach out to somebody, and don't be ashamed to do so, because it will really, really help you. I think anybody going through a chronic illness, including Lyme disease, it's so easy to be caught up in your disease, and the disease becomes your whole world. To start thinking negatively is something that occurs very commonly. I don't want to say that thinking negatively makes your disease worse. I don't know if there's medically any proof for that, but from experience and seeing other people around me and my own mental state, is that, in my opinion, your mental approach to the disease really affects and influences how you progress through that disease. I don't want to say thinking positively cures you, it doesn't, but it can make such a big difference in how you deal with your illness. And thinking positively and having this approach from like, this disease is not going to get the better of me, and I'm going to fight for it, and really giving it your all, I think pushes you so much more to get better and get through it, than if you were to think negative and think you're gonna die in 5 minutes, and you're gonna just drop dead on the floor, nobody's gonna find you, and this just gives you a panic attack, and panic attacks don't help you at all. So really trying to be mentally strong, and I know not everybody's mentally strong, I'm quite headstrong in that, but I know not everybody's the same, but trying to find a way to, rationalize things, and if you need somebody to help guide you through trying to be rational, reach out to somebody. But yeah, I think really in the case of chronic illnesses, it's so important not to fall into that victim role and trying to find ways to deal with the illness in small steps. I think a huge part of that is firstly accepting the fact that you're sick, accepting the fact that it's not your fault. And there's a lot of people that think that just because they're sick, you know, the world's gonna end, their life's gonna end. In a lot of cases, it's not that way. It might feel that way in the moment, but you know, your world's not gonna end. So trying to rationalize what you're going through and putting it in a certain place and dealing with that is a huge factor of going through the illness. A lot of the illness is dealing with things mentally. So yeah, even myself, I went through a really hard time in the beginning. I was incredibly angry, I was incredibly bitter. And it's like, why am I sick? Why am I sick and not somebody else? And I don't deserve this. And why is my life ending? And I'm losing everything. And I'm losing my friends. And I'm losing my studies. And you know, it makes you so angry and bitter. And you need to find a way to deal with that and give it a place in order to be able to move on. So yeah, my best advice is to take it in small steps. Have somebody try and help you through it. Talk to somebody, and keep your mind busy doing other things, being creative, doing some brain training, or you know, going to see friends. Even though it's hard, I know it's hard, but do little things to get you out of just being sick. Just being sick is only going to make you worse. So that's my short video for today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be continuing to do more of a series, especially for the Lyme disease and some other fun things. More cooking videos as well, especially now running up to Christmas and you know, the whole December-January period with everything's evolving around family. So I saw already that some of you guys have actually made my carrot cake, so thank you so much. Big shout out to my friend Angel for making my cake on Thanksgiving. I know it was really difficult, but it was so humbling and it made me so proud and honored that you know, you guys would go do that. And yeah, keep doing it please, and tag me and send me all the videos. And now hopefully I will be back for good and keep being in that positive mind frame, and yeah, just doing something that I really enjoy, because it is something I really enjoy. I hope to see you all in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the red button down below to keep up to date with all of my videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye!